Hello, I'm Stan Hall. Welcome to this edition of the Gwinnett Sports Commission's Get in the Game. Obviously, sports is a major part of the media today, but it seems like most of what we hear deals with professional athletes or collegiate athletes who aspire to be professional. Sometimes I wonder if we give enough attention to high school athletes who are somewhere in the very beginning of that formula that we just described. Gwinnett County is very fortunate that we have a great pool of high school athletes who have both gone on to be professional athletes, and we also have a stable of athletes who absolutely aspire to be professional athletes and are well on their way today. Our guest today is an example of that. Christina Yang is a junior at Norcross High School and is considered to be a premier golfer, premier female golfer in the entire country, not just our region. Christina, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking some time to be with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Christina, the first question I have to ask you is, you've been playing golf for a long time and you're only 17 now, or 16 now, I think you told me. Tell me a little bit about how young were you when you started and what got you interested in golf. That's not exactly the typical activity for a young girl to get involved in. How did that all work out?
Well, I started when I was around 8 years old, so I've been playing for 8 years now, and it's been it's been a nature of my life. Like, it's been what I've been used to, but like growing up, I got more used to it because it is a fun game. Like, it is interesting to play, and the hard work does pay off.
So, and I know you told me before the show started that it was really your dad that got you interested in golf. Tell me a little bit about, was he a golfer as well?
Well, before he started coaching, he would play golf and he would try to go around in tournaments, but growing older, I guess, he wanted to teach his kids. So we all, me and my siblings, we all learned how to play golf, but we've all got interested in it, but obviously, my brother and sister, when they got older, they chose a different path. But for me, it's,
always golf, right?
I'm this is really something I'm really interested in, so.
Now, you're a junior at North Gwinnett High School, so you've played already your freshman and sophomore year. The golf season hasn't started this year yet, right? So let me ask you, Christina, from the time you were a freshman moving forward as you approach your junior year, has the competition level gotten better or worse as far as the teams that you play against here in Gwinnett?
Honestly, I feel like it got a little worse because when I was a freshman, I knew a lot of the seniors and juniors that were playing golf, but they all graduated. So I feel like the competition variety is starting to go down because there's not as many golfers in my area that really plays golf competitively like me. So I mean, I feel like it got worse, honestly.
Yeah. Now, there's one golfer that you know very well, and we're talking about today the fact that you're considered to be a premier golfer in the country. There's another girl in Gwinnett County who goes to Norcross High School, Bailey Tardy, who's also on that list of people that they consider to be a very, very on the big list as far as high school golfers goes. Are you guys very competitive, or do you know her very well?
We do know each other because we do play in a lot of tournaments, so I guess we are competitive because, I mean, she is a really good player too. So whenever, especially in high school tournaments, when we play together, it's really, because honestly, in our region, we're really head and head, we're right there. But and outside of school too, it's really competitive because we also see each other a lot.
So what you're saying is you guys are the Tiger and the Rory of the high school show here in Gwinnett. Is that about right?
Not exactly like that, but I mean, our competitive scores, I guess, are very similar. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, now let me ask you this. Of course, we're talking today about Gwinnett High School athletics as far as your involvement on the golf team at North Gwinnett. But someone who is as deep in golf as you are certainly does a lot of things in golf that are well outside of the high school ranks. Tell us a little bit about some of the events that you're involved in that aren't necessarily in high school, but are more of a regional, national level as far as what you do. And then the second part of that question, Christina, tell me about that competition, how it goes up from what you're typically exposed to in the high school ranks.
Well, especially, I usually play in USGA events, and they're typically in the summer. So those are more difficult because there's more people around, the area. There's people coming from Florida, South Carolina. It's all in the southern region or just anywhere around the U.S. So it is difficult because there's more a lot more competition. So I don't know, it is harder, but it's a better like experience and it's more influential, I guess. So.
And it's as you said, the main difference is the golfers here that you play against at North Gwinnett. Those are all local golfers, and then when you go to these regional events with the USGA, as you said, they come from everywhere.
Yeah.
And do you think most of the people who play in those events have a desire to go on and be professional golfers? Is that why you would take that track?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I'm pretty sure they're interested in like pursuing like that kind of career, but I'm not like it also is like experience too. For like some of them it's just for experience or fun, but like other ones are like really like high up there. So
Now the thing I was noticing, I was watching a LPGA event on the television the other week or so, and the thing that I've noticed, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong, but it seems like the age of the professional golfers, you know, I guess probably across the board, but particularly on the LPGA tour, it seems like the golfers are getting younger and younger and younger. And I think you told me before we started our show today that there's a golfer who's already on the pro tour, Lydia Ko, who's only 17 years old. Why do you think it is that they're getting involved as a professional at such a younger age?
I feel like nowadays more people are getting into golf. Like before, I guess not a lot of people like watched golf or like played golf as much, but I feel like now like people are really trying to get into it because it is like a nice sport. And I mean, I don't know, I guess just people just are starting to find out more about golf because even in like the qualifier events for USGA, a lot of the people that win are actually like teenagers nowadays too.
I even remember, it might have been this past U.S., I think it was the past U.S. Open where there was a young girl from, was it China?
Yeah. No, she lives in California.
But she was only, what, 13 or so?
11.
11 years old. So how does an 11-year-old get to that level so quickly where they can compete at that level?
I don't know. I mean, she's 11. Especially when I was 11, I wasn't really going into like high up tournaments like that. But I mean, I like actually saw her at the U.S. Women's Public Links, and she is like really mature for her age. So like I can understand how she's like really successful in golf.
Yeah. The other thing I want to talk to you about, and you're a prime person not only because you're a golfer, but you have Korean heritage as well, is that obviously if you watch an LPGA event, there's a huge Asian influence with the women golfers. I think, I haven't looked at the leaderboard this week, but if you look at the top 10 golfers on the LPGA Tour, a lot of them have Asian backgrounds.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's based on a different training regimen? Do you think they started at an earlier age, or what's your opinion on that?
Like, you know how like before there weren't as many like Korean or like Asian golfers, but now like if you look at it, it's like a full leaderboard and they're all like from Asia. So I honestly like it is more, I guess, more difficult, like to like their training is more difficult, like they're more like strict about it, I guess. I mean they train harder and also they probably start earlier at an earlier age too, because I feel like golf is spreading more in Asia, and like since they are training harder, and it's just like, I don't know, I guess everyone's just getting into it nowadays.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm going to talk to you about before we finish up today is sort of life outside of golf, but I wonder, as those young girls that are from Korea or wherever it may be, whatever Asian country we're talking about, I wonder, as you said, they have maybe a little bit more difficult training regimen where golf is their life up until a certain point, and it allows them to progress a little more quickly than perhaps those kids who train here in the U.S.
I feel like they're more serious about the game, I guess. I mean, especially they're like now, like there's more Chinese golfers too. Like if you look, even my dad said like they're training really hard. Like it's like really extreme to like get to the pro like status. But I mean, I honestly think it's just because they train harder, and so it's more difficult.
Now let me ask you something. Not necessarily as it applies just to golf, but I was watching a special the other day, and it was talking about really training young kids and I'm talking about younger than 16, even as you are, but and whether or not that was good or bad to really put that much pressure on a child who is trying to develop a particular sports discipline. You said yourself you've been golfing since you were 8 years old. Have you ever seen it as an impediment where it was just maybe it almost would turn you against the sport? I'm sure you've seen examples of that, but it wasn't true for you, obviously.
I mean, well, I did start at a young age, but I didn't really take it seriously until maybe I was like 11, I think. Because like my first golf tournament was when I was 10. So it wasn't like a big tournament, it was just for fun. So I feel like nowadays when I go to golf courses to practice, I see like so many kids that are like 7 and they're so good. Like they hit so straight, they like making all their putts. But I don't know if that's like really a good thing because I mean they're like only 7. So I don't really know if it's a good thing, but I mean parents nowadays like want children to they want, because golf is like a nice sport, so like a lot of people, if you train hard enough, you can like make it out there.
Yeah.
So I feel like parents nowadays are like really getting into it. So
Now, when we talk about the LPGA, as we were for a few minutes here, do you have a favorite LPGA player that you like or that you follow the most, or is there one above the other?
for LPGA, like it seems like I like Michelle Wie because like not just because like she's really advertised out there for like her distance and like, but lately she has been improving a lot because lately like this year and the past year she's been playing really well. So I feel like that's really something to like look up to, I guess.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up because we're talking about distance. And I don't know if the people watching today, the people who golf will certainly know about what we're going to talk about now, but for those who may just be watching casually, driving distance may or may not be a big issue. But if you're a golfer, your ability to hit the golf ball for a long distance is important, right? So now I was talking to your dad before we were taping the show today, and he said that you hit it about 300 yards. Is that right?
Yes, around there.
How does a girl of your size hit the ball 300 yards? Is it based on strength training, or what do you do to? I'm telling you, I don't hit the ball that far, and I'm a lot bigger than you are. So obviously, it's not all based on stature.
It's definitely not about like strength, I guess, because I can't even lift up like a plain box. But I'm not strong like at all. But I mean, I think it's really just like how you know how to hit the ball, like the impact and like you can like certain people like for different sports they know how to like use their power for like how to like put force on a thing.
And
like,
is there, and I've, again, me being a hacker more than I am a golfer, but I always have heard that ability versus equipment, you know, you hear that controversy all the time. Do you think there's anything to the, you know, one person uses this equipment and another person uses a lesser equipment that it has anything to do with their overall efficiency as a golfer, or do you think it's still pretty much just based on talent?
it is based on talent, but also like the nicer your like clubs are, it's like it's gonna help like either make you go straight or help a little you go farther. So because like they advertise clubs now like, oh, this can get you 15 yards farther, so that's why people are interested in those clubs. So
before the show today, and I don't think by now anybody who's watching has any question about it, because I've described you, and legitimately so, as being someone who's considered a premier golfer for your age group in the entire country. And you told me before the show started that you do aspire to be a professional golfer one day and play on the LPGA tour and all of that. For someone, and since that's what you want to do, you're the perfect person to answer this question. Tell me a little bit about that pathway that you take. What's your plan as far as the pathway to take? As far as, you know, you're competing in high school now. Tell me a little bit about the other events that you're competing in, which you sort of mentioned earlier. How do you get to that point where you would position yourself to be a professional golfer one day?
Well, first I should never give up because I mean there are so many tournaments to play out there and there's so many chances to get on the LPGA, but it is like a long it's gonna take a long time, or it could take a short time, but I'm trying to like get there like as soon as possible, I guess. I'm trying really hard right now, and I'm really like, I hope to get there like faster so that, cause, how should I say this? Cause I don't wanna, I mean I do wanna go to college, but like I would like to be a professional golfer. So it's like, if I don't make it before that point, I'm gonna have to like find my backup plan to go to college, and like even if I do make it, I probably will still go to college and like pursue golf
Well, that's
too.
what I was going to ask
but
you, and
I don't really
that's
know.
that's a good time to visit this point now because high school athletes, particularly in basketball and football, they traditionally just go to a college afterward, and even if they don't stay there long before they turn pro, they sort of that's just the next step. Baseball's a little different, and golf is certainly different. So. That would be my question. Is there an advantage of playing on a golf team versus immediately trying to transit right into the professional ranks? What's the advantages of one way versus the other?
Well, if you do go to college with a golf scholarship, I feel like that will give you a reason to keep like training hard because you are on a team. But also, like, I could say it is a disadvantage at a point because, like, if you are interested in going to the pros, like, it is going to be kind of like a challenge to go to school and do that. But obviously, like, people need a backup plan to do, like, with anything, so.
Well, and you just said that even if you don't go to college immediately after high school, at some point in time, you think you'd go back and get your degree as a backup plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's what's important. So tell me a little bit, Christina, about some of the national competitions that you've been involved in. And you mentioned them earlier, but give me a little more detail about some of the events that you've played in.
Well, I do try to qualify for the U.S. Open. Like, I've tried for a couple years, but it's always my nerves that kick in because it is like a big event.
And that's professional players, right?
Yes, and there's like professional players, amateur players, and there's like even people I see like that are still in high school. I see them there too, but that's like a really like good opportunity to like go to the.
Do you do that each year? When was the last one you did?
It was at Dunwoody Country Club. It's in Georgia, but I think out of like maybe like 50, 60 people, I think around 2 or 3 qualified.
So you do that every year, and then you said you've played in some USGA events. Tell me a little bit about those too.
Well, like, I've been trying to qualify because like those are really good like opportunities too. But last summer I qualified for the U.S. Girls Junior and the U.S. Women's Amateur Public Links.
Which is a big deal. You're just sort of saying it like, well, it just sort of happened, but it's a really, really big deal because a lot of people never make it to that level as well. And where did you finish in that one? I saw it, but I can't remember.
I didn't make the cut for the public links by 1 stroke, and then the junior, I didn't really play that well in that one.
Hey, you have good days and bad days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, listen, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, I want you to tell me, as someone who really has a great shot of being a professional golfer one day, I want you to tell me, and as well as those folks who are watching today, what an average day for you is like as far as your training regimen goes, okay?
All right.
We're going to take a short break. We're talking today with Christina Yang, who is a high school golfer here in Gwinnett County that we think is going to go well beyond that one day. Stay with us. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back after these messages.
All right, give me a spot. You know my motto, safety first.
They could be dangerous. I think we should call animal control.
Animal control.
To be safe.
Don't worry.
Just...
I got this. It's a new motto.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
All in together now. We can make it better now. Come on, can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. We rope it up, cause we know how to jump. We'll roll it out, cause we know how to skate. We'll cut it down, cause we know what to eat. We'll swap it out, we eat healthy stuff. Can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. Can we do it? Do it?
Just moving a little and eating better every day can help make you and your child healthier. Search We Can to find doable tips and activities that you can use every day.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking today with Christina Yang, who is a junior at North Gwinnett High School. And Christina, before the break, we had talked about the fact that one day you would like to be a professional golfer. Obviously, you realize and have dedicated yourself to just how much practice goes into that dream that you hope to fulfill one day. Tell me a little bit about your daily regimen as far as the time you put into golf each day.
Well, since I do go to school, I get out of school at around 12, and then right after that, I go like straight to the driving range after I eat, and I stay there till maybe like 6 o'clock.
6 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then, I mean, I guess I would practice more, but I mean, I have school the next day, so I have like homework and stuff, so I try to practice around until like 6.
Now, do you break it up into, you know, you talked about the fact that you had a really good drive, but do you also work on the chipping and the putting and all the things that go with it?
I actually I have to practice that like a lot more because I feel like since like usually most people who have distance, they can't play well in the short game.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like me. Like I'm not really that good at chipping, but I can putt really well, but like I put a lot of effort into like my chipping game.
Now, you told me before the show started today that your dad is actually your coach. Not the high school coach, but he's your personal coach.
Yeah.
How does that work out with having dad there with you all day long when you're out there working on your golf game?
I actually think that's like an advantage because he's always there. And like I don't have to worry about like, cause like most people they get like lessons or something, so they can only see their coach like a couple times a week. But he's always there, so when I have a problem, like he can like fix it right away.
Now, when the high school season is going on, do you guys practice as a team as well, or do you continue to practice independently?
We practice as a team, but I mean, even though we practice as a team, we go like practice on our own sometimes. So like if I'm like chipping, other people will be driving like some balls or like it just like vice versa. So
Yeah. So you do sort of participate in the whole team gathering
Yeah.
as far as the North Gwinnett team goes as well. Now let me ask you this question. I have a high school, not a high school, but a teenage daughter as well. So I understand the social aspect of what a teenage girl likes to do. But if there, you know, someone like yourself who is dedicated to that dream you have one day of being that professional golfer, and you just told me how much time you spend out there working on your skills, how do you balance out the golf versus being a normal, whatever that means, I'll say a typical teenage girl? How do you do that?
well, I always put golf first. So after golf, that's when I like tend to like go out or like do my other things. So like that's when I like plan everything else. Like that's like the rest of my day is for me and like after golf.
So what are some things you like to do?
Well, besides golf, there's not really much, I guess. Like I don't really have that many like hobbies or anything because golf does take up a lot of time. So like, I mean, if I can go out, then I'll go out. Or like, I spend a lot of time with my parents. And,
Yeah.
like, I try to hang out with them as much as I can because like, I love my parents, I guess. But
Well, that's a good thing.
so I don't really have like special hobbies like cooking or anything.
Do you watch a lot of golf on TV?
I tend to watch more PGA golf or like because I feel like, I mean, I don't know, PGA golf is like a little bit more interesting, but I mean, I always watch women's golf too. Like
Do you have a favorite PGA Tour player?
I like Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
I like him and yeah, just him. He's one of my favorites.
Christina, let's finish up today with this because if, you know, a lot of kids who get involved in sports, whatever the sport might be, there's something that spikes their interest along the way. It might be a coach, it might be a parent, it might be another kid who's involved in a particular sport. If there's, and we're going to focus today on young girls, but if there's young girls out there today who have wondered if golf is for them, what would you tell them? What suggestions would you have for them if they really want to get involved in golf to the point where they can progress like you've done over the years that you've been practicing?
Well, it is like difficult to improve and like succeed in golf. But I mean, like if you're gonna start golf, you really need to make sure you put in the effort and you always have to like try hard, I guess. But I mean, once you actually like put in all your effort, it like, actually turns into a really fun sport because like it's something you're interested in. You mean you're purposely trying to improve, so it's something like you want to do. So I
Right.
guess that's what.
And
it's
I
all
think
about.
golf, not to compare it to any other sports, but golf is a slow process as far as developing skills. So I think if kids are really interested in being in golf, they need to accept the fact that it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah,
It's much
definitely.
different than some of the other sports. It takes a long time to develop those skills. Don't you agree?
Yes, I mean, it's not just gonna happen. You actually have to like work hard because if you're not gonna work hard, there's really like no point to like pursue it or like even in anything else either. If you're not gonna put like work into it, like there's really like no point, I guess.
Well, Christina, thank you for being with us today, and I hope that one day when I'm turning on the TV on the LPGA Tour, I can say, oh, there's Christina Yang. I remember her. She was on our show one time, but we wish you the best of luck, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks so much. That's all the time we have today. If you have questions or comments about today's show or ideas for future shows, you can reach us at the email address or the phone number shown at the end of the show. Thanks for being with us. I'm Stan Hall. See you next time on Get in the Game. Goodbye.